Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty fascinating. The idea of being autotelic,
Mm-hmm.
which basically means doing something because, well, the thing itself is the point, right?
Yeah,
It has its own purpose.
exactly. Not for the likes or the cash or external praise.
Right. And this whole deep dive actually comes from a listener who was thinking about their own creative work.
Oh, yeah. What kind of stuff?
Videos, some songs, apparently some pretty, maybe controversial content too, and podcasts. And get this, even creating a sort of satirical cult religion.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite the mix. So they were wondering why they do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when maybe not many people are seeing it or engaging with it.
Right.
So our mission today is really to explore the value, the meaning of creating just for the sake of creating, for intrinsic reasons.
It's a really interesting space, isn't it? This whole idea of intrinsic motivation, the activity being its own reward. Our listener's phrase, "it matters to you," that really hits it, I think.
It does.
That internal drive that just says, this needs doing,
Mhm.
Never mind the audience for a second.
Absolutely. It's that gut feeling, isn't it? That something just, it has to be brought into the world. Whether it ends up, going viral or just sitting on your own computer.
Mm-hmm.
They use this phrase, messages in bottles.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, me too. It really paints a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Putting something personal out there,
Yeah.
not necessarily expecting anything back, but just needing to send it.
It's almost like communicating with yourself in a way.
Yeah.
Or maybe with some future version of yourself, or just expressing something that needs to get out.
Yeah.
And if you think about why that's so compelling, I mean, it taps into something pretty fundamental about us, right? We often measure our success by external reaction.
Sure, that's the default kind of.
But this autotelic view, it flips that script. It says the act itself, engaging with that passion, making something new, that can be incredibly fulfilling. It builds a sense of, competence maybe, personal growth.
And I mean, let's be clear, getting positive feedback isn't bad. Our listener mentioned getting good vibes when a song resonated.
Oh, for sure. Connection feels good. It's human.
Right. It's great when people connect with what you do.
Absolutely. It can be really reinforcing. But the core of this autotelic idea, I think, is that even if that doesn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't actually diminish the value of the act itself. That value is sort of baked in from the start.
Okay, so that brings us to maybe the more difficult part.
Mm-hmm.
Creating stuff that's designed to challenge, maybe even provoke.
Mm-hmm.
Our listener talked about wanting to disrupt broken systems.
Right, and that broken bridge analogy they use.
Yeah, that was powerful. Sometimes you have to dismantle something old to build something new, even if people don't like seeing the dismantling.
That's a really sharp way to put it. And it definitely makes you think about discomfort, doesn't it? How it relates to progress.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about truly new ideas, things that change the game. They often seem weird or wrong at first.
Yeah, they go against the grain.
So if you're making work that questions things, that pushes boundaries, well, you're probably going to face some resistance. It's almost inevitable.
And our listener definitely felt that. Negative comments, losing subscribers.
Yeah.
It's tough, right? You pour yourself into something and the reaction is critical, or just silence can feel pretty demoralizing.
It really can. But if we go back to that intrinsic why, the reason behind the work matters a lot here. Our listener had this great thought. In order to work out a muscle, first you have to break it down.
Ooh, okay. Like exercise?
Kind of, yeah. That feeling of resistance, that discomfort. Maybe it's actually a sign you're stretching yourself creatively.
Pushing comfort zones.
Exactly. Challenging your own ideas, maybe. And that could lead to real growth down the line, even if it feels, kind of rough in the moment.
Okay, right. So let's lean into that core idea more. The work is the reward.
Mm-hmm.
Our listener gave some really good concrete examples, like a song that maybe only you ever hear. It still has value, but the value is for you, the creator. Just bringing it into existence was the satisfying part.
And what's cool is seeing how that applies across different things they do, like the how-to videos.
Yeah.
Even if nobody else watches them, the creator is learning, right? They're researching, figuring things out, building skills they can use. That's a direct benefit.
Totally. It's like you're teaching yourself first and foremost.
And then the most unique example, that satirical cult religion.
Right. That one definitely stood out.
Our listener described it as this totally solo project, something just for their own enjoyment.
Yeah.
But they found real pleasure in just, building it, creating this detailed, imaginary world. They compared it to playing a single-player video game.
Or getting lost in a really dense book, maybe.
Exactly. Things we do purely for the engagement, the satisfaction we get from the activity itself.
It really shows how personal this Autotelic reward system can be.
Yeah, and the listener even touched on how creation can be therapeutic.
Processing things.
Right. And the research you do for any project, that's self-teaching. And just putting your voice out there, your unique take, in a post or a song or whatever.
Just the act of expression.
Yes, that has value in itself, regardless of the clicks or comments or anything else.
So, okay, if we're not chasing those external numbers,
Yeah.
how do we think about success then?
That's a great question.
Our listener kind of nailed it, I thought. Saying subscriber counts, likes, views, they're just numbers.
Right. They don't necessarily reflect the value of the content itself or the value of the act of making it. And it makes you think about connection, too. Isn't one really deep connection with someone who truly gets your work?
Yeah.
Isn't that maybe more valuable than, like, thousands of superficial likes?
Oh, absolutely. Depth over breadth.
The Autotelic viewpoint seems to lean that way, I think. Quality of engagement, not just quantity.
And I really like this other point they made.
Right.
What if silence isn't failure? What if the response being, well, nothing? What if that's actually, and I'm quoting here, a profound mic drop that leaves everyone speechless?
Huh. Okay. That's a bold take.
It is. But there's something appealing about it, right? Just putting your authentic self or idea out there and letting it stand on its own, not needing the applause.
Yeah, there's a certain confidence in that. A kind of freedom, maybe?
Totally.
And if you zoom out, this whole autotelic perspective, it really pushes back against how we often measure success today, especially online.
All those metrics?
Yeah, we're swimming in them. But thinking about the inherent value in what we do, separate from those numbers,
Yeah.
that can be really, really liberating.
Which brings us back around to you listening right now. If you've ever poured your heart into something, maybe a project or an idea, and it didn't quite get the traction you expected.
Or maybe got no traction at all.
Right. Or you felt like you were just making it for yourself for an audience of one. Well, maybe there's a bit of this autotelic spark in you too.
It's interesting to think about the freedom that comes with that. When you're not hooked on needing that external pat on the back all the time,
Yeah.
it could actually free you up to take bigger creative risks, couldn't it? To
Yeah.
try weirder things, to make stuff that's just deeply, truly you.
Yeah. Stuff that really matters to you, like the listener said at the start.
Exactly.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive on being autotelic, I think the main thing is realizing that purpose doesn't always come from the outside. Sometimes, maybe often, the value is right there in the act. Creating, expressing, figuring things out, that can be its own reward.
And if we take that idea beyond just creative projects, think about other parts of life. Where else might we do things just because they feel right, because they resonate deeply with us?
Ooh, yeah. Regardless of recognition or reward. What are those activities for you?
That's a really good question to leave everyone with. Think about those moments, those activities in your own life. When have you been driven by that internal autotelic motivation? And what does that maybe tell you about what you truly value? What really fires you up?
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.